Well, one of the sites where rescue operations are focused is the Pyne Gould building. An urban search and rescue team from New South Wales has been working there throughout the day, cutting through floors of the building, looking for survivors. The Deputy Commander of that task force, Superintendent Tom Cooper, joined us in Christchurch just a short time ago. Tom Cooper, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Tony.
Your teams are concentrating on the Pyne Gould building, which is one of the ones that pretty much pancaked during the earthquake. Tell us about your operation, because it is a microcosm of the whole rescue operation.
Yeah, Tony, at the moment we've got crews have just been recommitted to the building. There's been a number of aftershocks here all day yesterday, all last night, and a few today. One in particular at around about 6:30, 7 o'clock, when our Alpha team was just about to leave the site. A particularly nasty tremor came through, and it actually dislodged part of the building that the firefighters were working in, so our crews hadn't been able to get back into that situation until the building was checked by our engineers and the local engineers here from New Zealand. So safe to say that they have shored the building up, and we're back into what we've been doing for the last 24 hours.
Which is what exactly? Are you cutting through concrete to try and find spaces in the building where people might be?
Yeah, at the moment we've got a building, it's 5 levels, we believe. There's two, there's a column up the middle of the building which is fairly intact, and each side of the building is collapsed in what we call a pancake collapse. On one side, the building has pancaked straight down, but on the other side, where we rescued a lady yesterday, it's pancaked on an angle, and it's very difficult because the voids that the firefighters try and manage to get into to see if there's any survivors are very, very thin on this side that's pancaked at an angle. They're getting in, they've cut through each floor, used listening devices, thermal cameras to see if we can find any sign of life. We've also drilled core holes through most of the structure so that we can poke cameras in, remotely monitored cameras, to see if there's any sign of life. So that's what they're doing at the moment.
Has there been any sign of life?
At this stage, there has, up until late yesterday afternoon, where the firefighters go through their procedure in a situation like this, where they they call out and to try and communicate with anyone in the building. They ask people if they can't call out or if they can't speak, to use something to try and knock on something. We have remote listening devices which are very sensitive, and they can pick up these sort of sounds, and they were confident that they did hear some of these sounds as late as about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, but up until now, after that, we haven't heard any at all.
Do you have any idea at all how many people might be trapped inside the building, dead or alive?
At this point in time, we believe there are 14 people in the structure, and certainly the areas that firefighters are trying to penetrate would be able to sustain life. They're quite large voids. Our Alpha team, who rescued the lady yesterday, they were in the building all day again today, and they set up a situation for our firefighters tonight where they opened up a number of voids that we didn't believe were there. So the firefighters and the engineers and the paramedics right now are going through that building and trying desperately to see if there's anyone that is still around.
You say right now, and of course it is a 24-hour operation. Your team is on the night shift. That must be somewhat different, I suppose, or is it so dark inside the building that you don't really distinguish as a rescuer between night and day?
There's a number of holes that have been cut in the building by firefighters, but you're right, it is very dark when you get into these small openings, and all the firefighters have torches on their helmets and handheld torches, and we're going through in a systematic manner, and we want to be absolutely certain that we haven't overlooked anyone.
It must, however, be, you mentioned the aftershocks, it must be terrifying for the rescuers in such a structure, a tenuous structure, when the aftershocks come.
Oh yeah, it is very frightening. I was up in the building yesterday when one came through, and not being a seasoned person in earthquake situations, as are some of the firefighters we have in the field at the moment. It was very frightening to witness that, but safety is our guiding principle in everything that we do. We've set up escape routes for the firefighters in the buildings. We've also got a tremor strategy whereby we go through a procedure after a tremor where we would retreat from the building, and we have the engineers and surveyors that have theodolites, which is surveying equipment, trained on the building. They're also using lasers like static lasers to basically see with their eyes that if the building has moved or has got any different from before the tremor strikes. So yeah, we do have a safety strategy in place, because the last thing we want to do is have to rescue some of our own people.
Finally, Tom, you did manage to rescue, in fact the last person rescued from any of the buildings was rescued by one of your teams yesterday, Anne Bodkin, during the day. How did it feel to pull a live person out of a building as wrecked as that?
Oh, look, it was very uplifting for the firefighters involved and for the whole rescue effort. We've got 7 international teams in the field at the moment, so you can imagine there's roughly 700 people contributing to this effort, and like news of that just spreads throughout the whole of the city, and it's a really uplifting thing. And yeah, so it was a great feeling, and hopefully that we'll experience that again very soon.
We certainly hope so, Tom. We thank you very much for taking the time to come and talk to us tonight on Late Line.
Thank you, Tony.